3, 2, 1. And we are live. I am live. Hello, my dear nosies. Welcome back. I missed you dearly, dearly, dearly because last week I was in Santa Explorer getting ready for very, very important things that I was part of. I will not be talking about Santa Explorer today. If some of you don't know what that is, it was the first edition of what is meant to be a perfumery trade show one of the first in the Americas. And I was invited to participate on an expert panel. Veni Vidi Vici, now I'm back. I can't talk about, I decided I'm not going to talk about Santa Explorer today because I didn't get to debrief with Max Forti, who is one of the organizers. So once I've done that, I will tell you all about it. But today we're not here to talk about Santa Explorer. We're here because I have more beautiful obscures to present to you. So let's see, who do we have live? Kozin, Geza from Prague, Christy from Virginia, Liliana, and Arix from Canada. Welcome. I think you're new here. It's a good, solid group of really, really nice people. Neil from Houston, welcome. So let's say it together. Welcome to Nose. This is Dana, and you are here to learn about the more obscure, to the long forgotten, about the not yet known items in perfumery. Le Fleuriste from Northern Ireland. Live long and prosper, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about a beautiful obscure that's also discontinued. I'm not getting much love for my pickings. People get really upset that sometimes they can't find some of the things that I'm talking about. I think the point of this channel is actually to document stuff that may be disappearing. Also stuff that I consider to be valuable from one angle or another, be it compositionally or executionally or as a piece of history or aesthetically or whatnot. Also to put it out there that if you happen to run across some of these things that I'm talking about in flea markets, in thrift stores, at garage sales, in the back shelf of some, countryside pharmacy, you might want to take another look and give it a chance just in case. This is what this channel is about. We'll never have hordes of followers. That being said, welcome to everybody who's new. Today we're going to be talking about something that nobody seems to have heard about and something that I don't have a lot of information on apart from what my nose can pick up and enjoys. So this session is not going to be as long as the others. Today, my friends, today, my dear nosies, today, my nose folk, we are talking about this donut thingy. This is called Bozzini. In Italian, if you have two Z's, you read it. That's why we read pizza, not pizza. Okay? So two Z's make a t sound. If you see this thing, this is called Bozzini, and this is one of two. This is the Pour Femme version. Yes, the bottle is weird, not very well made. I hate these sprayer in the cap things. They always leak. They always not look good. You're always scared that you're going to press it by mistake and spray inside your mouth or in your eyeball, as we've all done. Ashfaq, good morning from Dhaka, Bangladesh. All right. So today we're going to talk about this one. Bozzini is a company that theoretically still exists. I have no idea what they're making or if they're making anything. As far as I know, it's owned by Intercosma. Intercosma is an Italian holding company. They don't make anything on their own. I'm having a political issue with this. I hate holding companies that basically umbrella a lot of actually producing entities under them, but that's a completely different story. We're not going to get into the politics of capitalism or pseudo-capitalism now. But Intercosma has a few companies in its umbrella. This is one of them. The other three being fashion/perfumery companies. I know one of them is called Mimina, and keep this in mind. Mimina is very similar phonetically, stylistically. If you see the bottle, if you see the font, with a new company that I saw at Essence in Milan in May called Simimi. I would not be surprised if these two are connected. So Mimina and Simimi, follow them in parallel if you can. If you hear these names, kind of put them in the back of your mind and keep them there. But Bozzini is one of these four, and the other one would be Sergio Soldano. I'm not sure if it's Italian or Spanish, because one of his perfumes is called Prohibido, which is a Spanish word for forbidden. That's pretty much all I know about Sergio Soldano, and he had a series called Atelier that was quite decent back in the day. But these are the sister companies surrounding this Bozzini. I don't know if they're connected or not, part of this holding company, and that is all I have for you. I don't know who made fragrances for Bozzini. I don't know if it's the same person who did the Pure Femme and Pour Homme versions. I don't know. It's later that makes every evening more enjoyable. Anna from Spain, one of the best noses and best peoples I know on this earth. All right. So Bozzini came to me through my Romanian community. For those of you who don't know, I have a huge, solid, healthy, and crazy in the head Romanian community that I'm proud to represent. And Romanians are the most beautiful kind of crazy. In other words, we're all nerds and we're all really passionate about whatever we're passionate about. This came from somebody in my community who knows what kind of direction I take with analyzing perfumery in context, and it was a gift. I've used it, as you can tell, because there's something that annoys the crap out of me and something that I absolutely adore. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about everything. So Bozzini. Okay, Simimi is made by the Terenzi clan. Estonia, Germany is with us. You're in Germany, right? I think so. Yes. Oh, so yes. Okay. And Loredana, Romania. Okay, even better. All right, Bozzini. This is Pour Femme. All I know, and it was kind of a hard information to confirm from two sources, is that it came in 1989. And just like a lot of the other 80s perfumes, this is big, bold, in your face, unapologetic, a little bit uncomfortable. The canary was alive when you came and no longer kind of a fragrance. You know, the flowers wilt when you pass by, your nose hairs stick out and they fall, your teeth hurt and your eyes itch. Kind of a fragrance if you put it on a little bit too much or a little bit too where you're not supposed to. I think this is radioactive if you put it on hair. For some reason, I noticed that. Or if you put it on fabric. On skin, it kind of mingles, it fuses the way I like fragrances to do. It blends, it evolves in stages. Whereas if you put it on fabric, it screams. This is a soprano, okay? Not necessarily feminine, considering today's mark of what gendered fragrances are. Again, I'm not for that. But if you care about these details, just know that this, after it sits before it sits, it's out there, very nichey, unisex, whatever. After it sits, it's very personal, again, unisex and very easy to wear by both women or men or non-gender people, by dogs, by whatever. All kinds of skins, all kinds of inclinations, all kinds of styles or personal preferences. I think this is sitting right in between. Now, usually I have a problem with such nondescript types of anything, but this is special because of its evolution and because of how different the stages it goes through are from one another. So that's interesting. We're talking about Aventus. Well, not quite, but not quite. I'll tell you. It's kind of it took me a long time to place it. And I'll tell you at the end what I came up with. Centaur, hello there. Welcome. So, Bozzini pour femme. Bozzini pour femme, like I said, born in 1989. We don't know who made it. Huge. Ugly bottle, but interesting. Takes up a lot of space. Sprayer is in the cap as you see it. Nothing around it except for something on the bottom that says Eau de Parfum and made in Italy, Intercosma, that nobody knows what it is, and so on and so forth. This is all I have. Yeah, I know, me neither. But guess what? I ended up with 2 bottles because this is a very hard to explain fragrance, but in the dry down, just keep this in mind. Finally identified it. It's going towards Chanel 22. It starts equally aldehydic. And the first blast is puckering because instead of just sunny aldehydes, and if you read some of the descriptions, you're going to think this is a fuzzy, foo-foo, easy thing to wear. It's not. It starts with aldehydes with a very pregnant and prominent lily of the valley, which is probably also, I mean, for sure, aldehydic. But when I say aldehydes, I mean air, sunny, birds, Snow White type of fresh air, clean impression. But it's hot. So, okay, we have the clean air, but it's hot. There's some spices in there that come straight from the top. A lot of nutmeg, but in a very sweet, but also woody way, almost like mace. The nutmeg with that kind of lacy casing on top that renders it a little bit even spicier and woodier to my nose. A little bit of pepper, of what kind I have no idea. Some neroli, but of the not airy or florally or fruity, but also a little bit astringent and bitter and puckering type. Maybe a little bit of petit grain. All of this comes at you at once, which is very interesting because I did not expect it. And it made it sit on the shelf for a long time until I actually gave it a proper skin wearing. What follows is even more puckering. You would expect these things to kind of go away and for this to become whatever it's meant to be. No, the second phase is what drove me nuts because there's a green aspect to it that reminds me a lot of what's happening in perfumery today. There's a huge wave of greenery, ivy. I mean, Exaltatum has a pergola, has a great ivy scent. I saw something coming out of Cartusi a couple of years ago. There's a lot of cannabis. There's a lot of ivy, dark, deep poison greens coming out that come to complete, the fig leaf and all the other leaves out there. But this one does have some violet leaf, probably. It almost smells like raspberry leaf to me because it has a slight watery, I can't put my finger on it, notion to it while still being very, very powdery. This is a very powdery pineapple fragrance, if that makes any sense. That makes it interesting to me. When it sits, it becomes something else. But per per ensemble, if I were to describe it, these are the best two descriptors for it, powder and pineapple. Doesn't seem like it would go well together, but it makes it very interesting. So I said violet leaf or maybe raspberry leaf, accord, whatever it is. It mixes, it's not really vetiver-ish, no. It's leafy green of the astringent kind that mixes with a slight sour apple accord, some metallic notes. I have no idea where they come from. If any of you is making fragrances and they can explain what a metallic tinge could come from, please participate and contribute. And a slight ylang that kind of mixes, gives it a little bit of tropical notion to it. All of this combines to deliver pineapple. This is what the middle is made of. You can kind of separate the notes the way I describe them. Maybe you'll come up with something else. Maybe instead of ylang, you'll say something indolic that smells like a banana or whatever. But the overall effect to this is that the middle, particularly on projection, so not nose to skin, right? On projection, walking around, it's a little bit bonbon-y, a little bit tropically, a little bit metallic, almost like a tin that pineapple came, the tin can that the pineapple came out of. And for those of you who grew up in Eastern Europe and you only had pineapple from a tin growing up, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's a specific kind of canning aftertaste. It's in the back of your throat right here. Mimosa. Mimosa. You know what? Maybe. Maybe. So this middle phase is supported. It's not screeching because it's supported by a few very tempered notes that are providing a little bit of a texture, structure, support, base, context. So this thing is not, like an alto practicing by herself or himself. It is sweet powdery. Mimosa is sweet powdery. Sometimes it's puckering and dry in the back of the throat, kind of choking type of flowery, slightly bitter smell sometimes. That's how I perceive it. Depending on what it's mixed with, it can go towards carpet or towards slightly oily. Immortelle can do that, particularly in combination with honey, to me. So maybe it isn't a smell type of sensation, but my brain perceives it in a very synesthetic way, and it's actually useful when I'm trying to break something down, because this is how I recognize some things. My mom is here. Hello. I haven't found a true smelling pineapple cologne. The majority of perfume with the pineapple accord doesn't smell like pineapple. I agree, mostly because pineapple accords are sometimes built of pine, which could be natural, and apple, which is not natural. It has to be synthetic, and kind of makes sense, right? Pine and apple. I'm sure there are others that are hinting to pineapple. I'm sure there are other ways to build pineapple accords, but pineapple can't be extracted from pineapple the way it is. So it has to be reconstructed. Some of the elements in the reconstruction are screechy. We also, keep this in mind, we also have associations with cleaning supplies. So pine sol and lemon, those hideous things that people sometimes hang in cars, aromas and flavors that we pick up in foods. All of these things sit in the back of our brain and create some sort of an image of what something natural smells like, when that's not the case at all. So when we smell it, we might actually be in a position to decompose smells, and some of the things that we break down the accord into might be associated in the back of our brain with something cheap or something tiring or something bad, and so on and so forth. So our brain has something to say in all of this also. We're conditioned. That's all I'm trying to say. But we have Brother Lucas here, Lucas Szczesniak, coming from Poland, who is an evaluator. He has the nose. And Vladimir says, you're so much above Science Explorer. Oh. I do what I do. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. That's why Adventure smells like my vegan bio raw cleaner. It's possible. So maybe Lucas can give us a few other ideas of how the pineapple accord is being built, if he knows anything about it. He knows all the chemicals out there, all the flavorings out there. So based on how it's constructed, because there are plenty of ways to reconstruct an accord. I'm pretty sure that some of the things that we deal with in breaking down notes in the back of our brain is conditioned by something else we know from before. So closest I got of pineapple facets is from some rare agarwood chips from Khao Yai region in Thailand. The other one is Draviets. CO2 extraction, total. But it's more berry-like. Keep them coming. Thank you, Ashfaq. See, this is why I love the lives. And this is why I love doing this. Because all yous coming, no stuff. I think the chat is more educational than what I'm presenting to you guys. I'll keep doing it for as long as we can, because I'm learning as much, if not more, than you are. All right. So, like I said, the middle of Bozzini projects like pineapple. So nose to skin is not the same. Nose to skin, but I guess we're not walking around the street like this. Hi, my name is Dina, blah, 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 blah. But in projection, before it starts settling even further, it's a metallic tinned pineapple that I happen to like and hate at the same time. I like it because it's nostalgic, and back in the day in communist Romania, canned pineapple was something very hard to come by, that you had to risk liberty or freedom to buy on the black market. But it's tinned pineapple. Pineapple is puckering. Pineapple is sour, sometimes in poor combinations, or if it's blended poorly, it can go towards like baby vomit. Sometimes a lot of the under sour tones can do that to people. So this is what I perceive. In projection, again, not nose to skin, and in projection, and only in the middle phase, which is long enough to get something out of it, but is not long enough if you're only looking for pineapple in a fragrance, just to put it out there. Again, it starts with hot, blasty, hot temperature-wise, aldehydes and a little bit of wet flowers and some, raw nutmeg, mace, more like. I even pick up a little bit of fenugreek, but maybe I'm crazy in the head. I don't know. And then, it moves into this pineapple phase that is supported by textural undertones. There's a paper thing. Ethyl butanoate is the pineapple note in perfume, synthetic in probably all cases. So people keep an eye out if you see that, because now some of the boxes are mandated to write stuff on them. So if you see it, that's where pineapple comes from. Thank you, Lucas. Lucas, brother Lucas. the pineapple is supported by these textural undertones that are very papery, texturally kind of dry and going into powder. Papyrus, not the green, planty, marshy kind of reed papyrus, but papyrus the way you imagine it. So it's kind of dry, kind of dusty. Powder to the gods. It's starting to seep in. It's the same compacted talcum kind of powder. Maria, welcome. And a little bit of iris is starting to seep in the way we perceive iris to be. I'm not talking about orris butter. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Neo, welcome back. Then it starts to set and to set and to settle and to fuse. It almost looks like in my head, it looks like one of those skin diseases, kind of like, or alien movies, or you name it, because it becomes very personal, very fused. There's no better way to describe it. And I think this is what attracts me to a lot of the fragrances I talk about. Sun is coming in my face and I don't know where. I've had some weird lights dancing in my room. Okay. Did you see my eyeball? Close enough? Sometimes you'll see orbs and lights around me. People think I'm a medium because of them. They're in all my pictures and stuff, which is really funny. Maybe I'm just bad at taking pictures and finding the light. But hey. So this was a gift, but you can still find it on eBay. It comes up here and there. I've seen it. I think the latest ones I've seen are like around $90, but I've seen it at 30. So just, it's not an urgent kind of thing. I don't urge you to go look for this, but if you see it for a good price, just pick it up because it's easy to wear. And again, in dry down, and I'm going to be talking about the dry down in a second, it is not dissimilar. In fact, it's very similar to how Chanel 22, and I put it here. I brought my bottle, which is this one, and I put it on for comparison because this morning was the first time it actually dawned on me. I'm like, what is it? So it's similar, very similar to Chanel 22 in dry down. Now, this is more powdery, more the aldehydes kind of carry through. This becomes a little bit more woody and more fused and more skin. I'm drooling a little bit. Maybe there's some hedione in there. Who knows? But this sets like this. Sour note gets sweeter. It's still the kind of sour that cannot be associated with a particular fruit because the pineapple leaf goes away. Now it's just sour in the way, rhubarb is sour, and the way sorrel. It's like pure sour. There's not currant is sour if you don't mix it with currant leaf. What else? Blueberries are sour without much of a flavor, if that makes any sense. So the sourness is still there. It's regulating kind of the powderiness, provides some sort of a balance, but it becomes sweeter. There's a friendly vanilla in there. There's very clear, very talcumy powder that keeps growing and growing and growing. There's the iris, the kind, not very carroty and not very earthy, but the fuzzy, powdery notion of iris that doesn't have something to do with makeup, if that makes sense. So there's a little bit of tubery in there. I think there's a little bit of elemi. It doesn't always come out, and it heavily depends on how much I spray. If I do more than one puff on top of another, the elemi comes out a little bit more clearly in the third phase of the evolution of this fragrance, providing a little bit of very much needed um, sour green, lemongrass seed, lemony, resiny, but kind of wet quality to this. Out of all resins, except for some of the balsams, which most of the times go towards waxy, molassy to me. Elemi has a little bit of a spit, and I've said this many, many times, and maybe my synesthesia, which I don't have, but I so dearly wish I had. It reminds me of spit, saliva. I don't know why. And that's how I usually recognize Elemi in a composition, no matter how resiny it is. In this case, I think there's a little bit of benzoin in there. There's no other supporting, there's no smoke, there's no deep woods. Smelling this made me think of poplar wood. I'm not sure if you guys smelled poplar wood. It's a very porous, very light, not very good for many things wood. Poplars are trees that I personally like very much. They don't smell like a lot, but in the spring when they make their buds look like willow buds, for example, but they're fuzzy. They become really, really hairy, kind of like cotton fuzz. When they shed, all the streets in Romania are covered in a blanket. I mean, it can be like a foot deep on the side of the roads. Blanket of fuzz. It looks like cashmere that's been, aired somehow. It's very, very interesting. And that has a very faint, greenish, waxy-ish, feathery smell to it. It's very comfortable. Of course, a lot of people are allergic. There's a problem with all that fuzz. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it does have a smell. And it's also a little bit dry. So it made me think of that. So scarf, if you want to be poetic and talk about things from day-to-day life, it smells like a scarf, like an elegant cashmere shawl when you're walking down the street and it's crisp air. I need to stop because I suck at this. I'm better in writing when I do artistic reviews. Let's go back to real things from the real life that we can real smell, not fake smell and imagine smell. Is that better? Is that okay with you, actually? All right, so poplar buds, poplar hair, poplar wood, light, porous, soft, and it gives the impression of warmth to it. It's almost like if you imagine steaming wood instead of steaming vegetables, poaching wood. That's kind of like what it makes me think of. If there's a way to water steam wood and extract some sort of a smell out of it, I think that would be fantastic. But until then, I'm just going to imagine it in my head. It's like oxygenated poplar wood. Some nondescript white flowers, but big. I can't really break it down into this or that. It's not a particular mix. It's hard to say. That's a very good question. Can you tell it's older or is it a bit atemporal in smell? It's a great question, but I can't answer it, to be honest. I don't know. And I can't answer it because aldehydes are making a comeback. Actually, aldehydic fragrances are starting to be like the more sophisticated nouveau vintage Henri Jacques. I mean, all the there's a lot of interest in aldehydes today. In fact, my aldehydes article that I wrote for Saint Fleurbon, let me brag now, is the best read. It's on top of most read articles at Saint Fleurbon. And Saint Fleurbon is 10 years old and they publish every single day. So there's interest in aldehydes. Perfumers are starting to explore them again. The hipsters did us a huge favor, and the rise of old school barbershops and all those things contributed culturally to bringing back aldehydic fragrances. Also, they're a little bit more neutral. Also, there's a move towards molecular perfumery, so aldehydes are a huge class to explore. So why, thank you. I don't think I invented it, but this is what this is what came out, nouveau vintage. So I can't answer this question. It smells like old, but old is cool again. So neo vintage, yeah, same thing, same difference, as Americans say. I love that. so would you say there's value and uniqueness behind Lady Bozzini? I would say there's value. I don't know if there's uniqueness, because, folks, let's put it in context. My nose and you guys' noses, you're all here because you're perfume fiends, because you're connoisseur, because you're makers, because you're collectors. You are not a regular mortal when it comes to perfumery. Nothing is unique to your noses, okay? Nothing is unique to somebody like us. For somebody else, yes, I would say it's unique. I would say there's value because, again, it reminds me very closely of Chanel 22. And Chanel 22, particularly Eau de Toilette, like this one I have, is expensive. You can't bathe in it, and it doesn't have the same kind of peaks as this one does. The sourness in this renders it a little bit more unisex. Chanel 22 is traditionally regarded as a parfum because of the very powdery aldehydic aspect. Merci beaucoup. Je parle français aussi. I speak a lot of languages, folks. That's why when I say I'm a nerd, okay? But thank you very much, Neil. So I think there's value, particularly if you find it at $30, like I said, and it's a bucket of it, and it keeps well. I don't think there's anything compacted. When you buy some of the vintages, they're kind of like, they don't make it anymore. It is discontinued, but nobody knows about it, so it's relatively easy to find. Is there anything that I haven't mentioned? I did tell you it was made in 89. That was an information kind of hard to find. Don't know who made it. What else? I think that's about it. This is Bozzini. I told you it's going to be a little bit of a shorter ride this time. Performance. Honestly, I'm not the best person to talk about sillage. I can talk about, and I'll tell you why. My nose is uber sensitive. It can drill down very well. I think so. Perfumers are telling me I'm guessing right. But because it's super sensitive, it short circuits. So I never puff more than one, maybe two sprays. And I usually work from home. So by the time I actually go out, very rarely did I douse myself in a fragrance enough that people can experience it enough to say, hey, were you in that room? So I don't really know what the sillage on this is. Projection is great on 2 puffs. But like Chanel 22, you get used to it and you kind of like smell it more on skin. If you put it on fabric, like I said from the beginning, this can be nuclear because the sour aspects do not dumb down and kind of like get amplified by tissue and fabric, hair. So stuff that's not skin and doesn't warm it up as much. It's more sour. So I would guess there's good projection. No idea about sillage. Have no idea. doesn't get compliments. Abdel, you're killing me. Darling, I get compliments. You can't even smell me and you guys are complimenting me, okay? I don't know. Nobody compliments me on any fragrance, to be honest. And the only time I get complimented on fragrance is when, or at least asked, what is that? Oh my God, what is that? I can smell you. Who's that person? Who here is wearing so-and-so? Is usually when I wear Sultan Pasha or when I wear older first edition designers like Fendi Life Essence, which is an amazing masculine fragrance that is fantastic. No, I do not wear Le Neride de Musk outside. I don't even wear it inside. I actually am filming with Sebastian Jara tomorrow. And then we're going to meet somebody from freaking Mud. You do appear to be a Fendi type of girl. Fendi masculine. I don't really wear much of the feminine ones, although the original chiffres were amazing. When I have a few from Armani back in the day. All the old designers I usually tend to collect them in first editions. Those, look who's here. When did you come in, Mr. Sultan Pasha? Enough to hear enough? Or did you just log in? But yeah, leave it to me to go to perfumery fairs and wear a fragrance that is not exhibiting there. It's ridiculous. I'm crazy in the head. And it wasn't intentional necessarily. But, all right, so just to conclude the juice for today. Bengali Silheti? Sure. Vale, vale. I don't know. Teach me what? I don't know anything in Bengali. Or any language from there. Anyway, if you're into languages, all of you, go to thegreatlanguagegame.com. You're going to have a lot of fun. Any shop recommendations in Milan? You will hear that soon, my friend, because I'm working on a project that nobody knows about. Punjabi. I'm sorry. I told you I don't know anything from that part of the world. So, Bozzini, this is it for today. A powdery pineapple, rebuilt pineapple that in dry down is very much similar to Chanel 22, the way it presents today. Well, this is kind of oldish. Eau de toilette. Good value if you can find it for $30. An interesting house that nobody heard about that is now documented. Thanks to you and those knows. So let's say bye to everybody and let's say it together. Keep it kind, but keep it real. And wherever you go, you make it better. Wherever you make it. Why can't I say this today? Wherever you go, make it better. Bye, guys. Silheti Trolls on Facebook is very good. I have no idea what that means. Yes. No. Kisses. Yes. Bye. I'll see you next week. All right, folks. It's been a pleasure as always. Tell others, subscribe. I forgot about all the marketing stuff. But yeah, bye.